Hola y buenos días. Soy yo, el señor Morris. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Today we have a very special lesson for you about one of the important holidays that's celebrated in many parts of the Spanish-speaking world. It's called El Día de los Muertos. Well, let's go ahead and begin today's lesson by singing our opening song. Canten conmigo. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo se sienten? Yo me siento bien. Muy bien cantado. Now, as I told you at the beginning of the lesson, we're going to be looking at a holiday called El Día de los Muertos. Now, we're presenting this information to you so that you can kind of understand the culture of the people who speak Spanish. Now, this would literally translate into the Day of the Dead, okay? It's celebrated on 3 days, from October 31st to November 2nd, which is the day we in English call All Souls Day. Now, contrary to what images the name of the holiday may conjure up in your mind, it's not intended to be scary or macabre. As a matter of fact, it's probably less so than the holiday that we celebrate here in the United States called Halloween. Halloween comes from the words All Hallows Even, which means the evening before All Hallows Day or All Saints Day. Now, the holiday itself is an opportunity for people to remember and honor their relatives or friends or people who they honor who are dead. Okay? There's some religious basis to the holiday, but that's been added to and modified by the native beliefs that were observed in the Western hemispheres before the arrival of the Spaniards. Although there are changes in the way people celebrate this holiday, in Mexico, on the evening of the 31st of October, people remember children who have passed away. This day is called Vísperas de Todos los Santos. November 1st is called Todos los Santos, or All Saints Day. On this day, people gather at the church to remember the saints who've passed away. Then, at midnight on El Día de Todos los Santos, people gather in the cemeteries to spend the night. Okay? People clean the grounds of the cemeteries, pulling out weeds and planting flowers and painting the gravestones. People converse or play cards or share meals with each other and talk about the people whom they're remembering. Then, on November 2nd, which is All Souls Day, people get together with friends at their houses and share traditional food such as mole, champurrado, and of course, pan de muertos. Now, each of the celebrants erects an altar in their home to help them celebrate and remember those who've passed on. Well, you know what? I built an altar here in our classroom for the Day of the Dead once, and I'd like to show it to you now. Presten atención todos. There are some things that are very typical that I'd like to point out to you. First of all, this arch. They always have an arch, and that's for the people that we're remembering to be able to pass through and join us in the celebration. Now, all of these things that you see here on our altar are called the ofrenda. Ofrenda, and that means offering. So these are all the things that we're offering. Some of the things that you'll always see are these flowers. These flowers are called Flor de Muertos, okay, or their Nahuatl name is Cempasúchil. And you always see these. As a matter of fact, sometimes they take the petals from these flowers and they'll make a pathway all the way from the cemetery to the house where they're having the party. So those are Flor de Muertos. Now, another thing that's very common that you'll always see on your altar is this. And this is the Pan de Muertos. And if you see, it's got a crossbone shape on the top there. Okay, we're going to talk some more about that in a little while. We always include a lot of skeletal images and skulls and things. One of them are these little toys that are made and played with. These are called calacas. You see, I can pull a string. There, he's dancing. All right, get down, get funky, yeah. This is called a calaca. Another thing that you'll see are skull shapes, like this in here. This is called a calavera. Calavera, and this guy is, Hola, ¿cómo estás? He can talk. That's called a calavera. Another toy that you'll see is something like this. And this one, what does that look like, guys? A coffin, yeah, that's right. And it's got a little string there. If you pull on the string, he's going to pop out and scare you. Now, there are always some common things that you'll find on the altar. And I'd like to point some of those out to you now. There's always food, particularly fruits that were the favorite of the people who passed on. There are candles for the people remembering. The atole and champurrado, the drinks. We have pictures of the people we remember. Candies, nuts, and you see the little candy-shaped skulls there? Those are made out of sugar. Right in the center we have an incense burner that burns an incense called copal, so that the people who are coming can smell their way to their party. There's always a glass of water so that the spirits who are coming to visit us can have something to drink. There's the sugar cane, caña, something to drink, and there's some calabacitas en dulce, or sweet pumpkin. Yeah, we have a lot of foods that we put on there. We put on mole that's made out of chocolate and seeds and chilies. We put on beans, a lot of foods and a lot of things that are fun because this is a happy holiday. Now, we put together a video to try to give you an idea of some of the things that go on during El Día de los Muertos. I hope that you enjoy this video. Ahora, presten atención todos.
El Día de los Muertos. El Día de los Muertos is an important holiday all over Mexico, which is celebrated from November 1st through November 2nd in most places. It's a day for remembering the dead, and they are remembered with many things, such as cempasúchil, this marigold-type flower, which has a very strong scent. Mano de león is also used, as well as nube, which means cloud. People can be seen buying flowers all over the streets, and calaveras, or skulls, these made of sugar or alfeñique, a sugary paste. You'll also find ataúdes, or caskets made of candy, which people enjoy giving to their friends and relatives in celebration of the holiday. This woman is decorating a sugar figure with frosting, which is called betún. She has a tiny hole punched in the bag, and as she squeezes the bag, the icing comes out. She's also selling her goods while she's preparing them. There are many different colors of betún so that the figures will look very gay and lively. This is not a scary day, as some people might think at first glance. These masks are not intended to frighten anyone. Rather, they're intended to show that people are poking fun at death, having a good time making fun of it all day long. Lots of people like to wear masks or other costumes for processions and parades on El Día de los Muertos. And this woman has made the masks that you see here. Here we see what's known as a calaca, or a skeleton. On El Día de los Muertos, the dead walk among the living, but no one is frightened. They're welcomed. This is a day for people to feel close to the people who have left them, and again, to sort of poke fun at death. Another way people feel close to their loved ones is with the ofrenda, or offering. Flowers, such as the ones we saw before, especially cempasúchil, are placed on an altar with this offering. Also, many foods and things that the person liked while that person was alive, like this rice, put into a brand new pot, as most foods on the ofrenda should be. This person also liked tortillas, seen here in a comal, or griddle, for cooking them. Also important are candles called velas. Usually they should be white or pale yellow in color. These are said to help the dearly departed souls find their way to the offerings, and may even be lit up in a path like we see here on this ofrenda. On this particular ofrenda, we find little tablecloths called manteles, because one wouldn't want to put the food on a bare table. The favorite foods and drinks of this person are on this altar, or altar, as well as copal, burning in an incense. Here we see the deceased person's picture, another typical custom. Pátzcuaro. That's what we see written on this papel picado, or paper cutting, because that's where this particular altar happens to be. There's also a pre-Hispanic figure here. Many of the roots of this holiday can be found in pre-Hispanic traditions. But there are also many things that the Spanish brought, like citrus fruits, the most common fruit seen because it's seasonal at this time. Also, pan de muertos, or bread of the dead, a bread flavored with anise. You'll also find alegrías and calaveras made of amaranto, or amaranth. We see here cocadas and jamoncillo too, typical candies of the season. To help the spirits stay light, there's also lots of dancing in many public places. This is el baile de los viejitos, the dance of the little old men. This is a traditional dance from the state of Michoacán. The men here dress up as though they were little old men and begin to dance in a lively way with their canes. By the end of the dance, they will be exhausted and arthritic, barely able to get themselves up. But in the meantime, with their guaraches, a special kind of sandal, these particularly padded with wood, they're able to stomp out a wonderful rhythm as they dance. The embroidery on their pants is also typical of Michoacán. But there is a more serious side to this day, and that can be seen in the night in the graveyard known as the Panteón in much of Mexico. Here people visit the graves, clean them, decorate them, and light candles. Even children go and may spend the whole night there with their families. People are talking about their loved ones who have died, remembering the good times, and they've also placed food on the graves for them here to show them how much they miss them and how much they would love to share this meal with them. For some Mexicans, the dead really do return on this day. Others simply place the offerings out to remember their dead and try to get over the loss of them. The church bells are ringing too, because there's going to be a Mass on this evening. The church plays an important part in El Día de los Muertos also. In fact, in this beautiful church, we'll find a gorgeous ofrenda with cempasúchil and candles and all of the foods of the season, particularly breads, more of the Spanish influence in the holiday festivities. There are plátanos, all kinds of bananas, frutas, all kinds of fruits, especially citrus ones, and even some vegetables which are seasonal in the late fall, like chayote, the squash we see here covered with spines. Also these hojaldras, different kinds of breads, manzanas, or apples, maíz, or corn, and many, many other seasonal fruits and vegetables. After El Día de los Muertos has passed, the streets of this town will become calm and quiet again. But the cemeteries remain newly decorated and fresh, ready for the day when the dead come to Mexico again next year.
There you go. Check it out. This is some pan de muertos that I made. You can see the crossbone shape there. Now the recipe for this can be found on the internet. If you guys would like to try to make this, you can find this at our site. You can find the recipe and try to make some of this for yourself. Now we have a couple of activity sheets for today. The first one deals with the various things that people put on their altares to remember those who have departed. Okay, go ahead and start off by putting your name up at the top. Roberto. Now below are some of the items used in the offerings made for El Día de los Muertos. Read the statement, then answer the question for each problem. Cuenta las flores. Count the flowers. Okay. ¿Cuántas flores hay? How many flowers are there? Escribe el número. Write the number here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we've gone over the numbers a little bit. 10. But you may find as you get down here into some of these bigger numbers that you'll need to use a reference book of some type to find out what the names for those bigger numbers are. It's a good chance for you to be looking some things up and trying to do some gathering of knowledge on your own. That's an important thing to be able to do. Another of the things that young people do during this holiday is make little skull masks called calaveras. Now we've included a page to assist you in making these little skull masks as your activity sheet for today's lesson. It's called El Patrón para la Máscara de Calavera. Okay, this is the outline for the calavera mask. So what you'll do is you cut out the mask pattern, decorate it with yarn markers. You see how these have been decorated. Put some tag board on the back to make it thicker, and then you'll insert the string through the side holes to hold it on your head. And you see how they put the name on it there? Yeah. And that's what it looks like. Now, you may want to make 1 or 2 for some of your friends in class. Remember that the point is to remember and honor those who passed away. So don't try to make them look gross, okay? That's not the point. Look in some resources such as National Geographic to see how people in Mexico or other Spanish-speaking countries decorate them. Now, next class we'll continue with our unit called Pesando y Midiendo en la Escuela. We'll review the people that we talked about who work in the school and then talk about some of the other people who work in the school and the subjects that we study. I look forward to seeing you all again then. For today's goodbye song, let's sing a new song for us. Well, it's new, but actually it's a traditional song called El Rancho Grande. It goes like this. Canten conmigo. Allá en el rancho grande, allá donde vivía, había una rancherita que alegre me decía, que alegre me decía. Te voy a hacer tus calzones como los que usa ranchero. Te los comienzo de lana, te los acabo de cuero. Good job. Until next class, adiós. Ay, ya no.